Welcome into week 3 of the high school football season. I'm Andrew Banstra, and this is the final drive. Let's get into it. Last season, Madison Memorial lost just 2 games all year. This year, they started 0-2. They look to reclaim some of that magic tonight, looking to beat Middleton for the 2nd straight year. We pick things up in the 3rd quarter, and the Cardinals already nursing a 14-point lead. But the Spartans, they had other plans. Blake Adams hands it off to Manny Lopez, and you can forget about it. Lopez Darden breaks a pair of tackles and finds the end zone, cutting into that Cardinal lead. 14-7 the score, but Middleton, they just always seem to have an answer. Check out that snag there. Joey Passaglia drops back a bomb and lands it into his man's hands, right into the breadbasket. We give you the final score here as Middleton comes out victorious, handing the Spartans their 3rd loss, 35-13, the final score. For my money, it is hard to compare to a good old-fashioned crosstown rivalry. 2 teams that may have stumbled out of the gate, but you can bet everything that they'll bring everything they've got into this one. Madison East versus Madison West, and what more can you ask for? We pick things up in the 3rd, and it turns out the Pergolders could have asked for a whole lot more. Michael Sumian completes a touchdown pass, finding his man, and that would be just about all the Regents need to lock it up. East was able to eke their way to a little bit of defense, but man, what a night for Madison West as they beat them by 7 scores, about 49-0, the final from Lucier Stadium. We turn now to some other scores from around the area, checking out what Waunakee was able to do, and what a game this was. Monona Grove and the Silver Eagles tried to eke their way back into a win, 14-13. The score in this one, it was an incredible game, as we'll come right back into those scores in a moment. What a game it was for Waunakee, who wins 14-13 in overtime. It is called the final drive for a good reason, and we're going to jump right into this game right here, where a fantastic matchup between Sun Prairie East and Oregon. Oregon, what a season they've had this year. It's been fantastic, and what a way to get things started. If you need to get something done, if you're the Cardinals, give it to Brady Kaufman, one of the best players in the entire state. He's rushing for that Sun Prairie rushing record. He got into the end zone, but Oregon would pounce right back there at the Bank of Sun Prairie Stadium. It wouldn't be enough, though. The final score in this one, Sun Prairie East and the Cardinals, they take home the victory. 21-9 is the score. Like I said, it's called the final drive for a reason, because you've got to cruise just a little bit before we get to our game of the week. And our game of the week this week, well, it was an absolute no-brainer. 2 of the absolute heavyweights in our area, Lodi and Columbus, getting after it. 2 playoff teams from last season, and somebody would be handed their first loss of the season this evening. Peyton Powers, the quarterback for Columbus, he doesn't need his power here. He's got the speed, zips and zags his way past Lodi defenders, giving them such an early lead that their ticket takers, Carol and Jane, a little shout out there, just couldn't believe it. And later it was more Cardinals. This time Powers uses that powerful arm, pumping one downfield, and finds his guy Jordan Mowbray, who moves the chains. Blake Carthew would end up getting it done on the ground. What a rush from him, and what a game it was for Columbus, and a much anticipated matchup. The Cardinals cruise to an easy victory. 42-7 is your final score. Down to Darlington, where some things just seem to never change. The Cardinals, they come out to play every single year, but their undefeated season came to a turning point tonight when they hosted Mineral Point, a Pointer squad that would have their own point to prove. But as always, Darlington does not mess around, getting it done through the air, handing it off, make that on the ground, handing it off to Ryder Fitzsimmons, who stuffs it right up the gut for the early lead. And then later, the Birds, they get it done through the air this time. Who else but Zeke Zuberbuehler? How many times have we said Zeke's name over the last few years? He zips a swing pass for his man Callum Christ, who comes away with it. Darlington gets the job done in this one, and they leave no doubt about it. 56-0 is the final score. Down to Division 6, where Christmas came early, Cambridge and Poynette is about as good of a Week 3 matchup as you could ask for. The Blue Jays got the best of this matchup last year, and the Pumas looking for their payback. Another pair of undefeated squads in Poynette. They came out with that defense early, pouncing with it. Tied at 7 apiece in the third, and they were hungry. And what else could quench your hunger but some sack lunch? How about your man, number 3, Will Frieden, with the sack, and later there was more where that came from. What's better than a big man touchdown? For my money, absolutely nothing. Jack Nels nails the quarterback. It bounces off his teammate, and the big man comes away with it and finds himself in the end zone. But that big playability, well, it would be Poynette's last points of the game. The Blue Jays would score 14 unanswered, and Cambridge takes home the win, and they stay undefeated. 21-14 is your final score. And this may be your last point of the night or our last game of the night here in the final drive, but it's one you don't want to miss. Highland and Belmont are both undefeated, winning their first 2 games of the season by a combined 162 points. But something had to give in Belmont, and what a game this was. One thing was for certain, defense was not going to be the star of this one. Early on, Belmont with the ball, and Wyatt Temperley put some touch on it, tossing it up for his man, Cody Kletica, who comes out on top, giving the Braves an early lead. And later, Highland says it's high time we score one of our own. Caden Washa wafts a 50-50 ball. Who's going to come away with it? Well, Highland is. What a snag there. What an incredible game this was. But ultimately, Belmont would come out on top, 42-16, the final score. We'll be right back with some more sports.